Hey everyone, True here, and today we are going to build the best Evertale arena lineup possible based on data. I use Nizetto's excellent position data on the best Japanese champions arena, which I weighted and modified to find the current average meta team with exact positionings. Now, how does one go about building the best arena team possible? Do we just put the best units in the first platoon and hope for the best? No, as some of you might have already guessed, we only leave two of the current top 5 units from my rankings in the first platoon. And it's not Dark Gene, Brightlit Miller, and Storm Elmina also has to wait. What we are left with are Earth Musha and Water Snow White. First up, we have Earth Musha here, and there's not really much to say about her. I mean, she has that stealthy vengeance going for her, so whenever another unit of your lineup dies, she will get enraged, get the stealth, get an extra spirit. So that way it makes sense to have her quite early, and she has the hold ground, which gives her some survivability in combination with the assassin's train. Then on the second we have Water Snow White, which is this new stealth sleep character that was released last summer. She has the counter skin, so small attacks really don't hurt her much, considering she can just use healing stealth again. And also, whenever she kills an enemy unit, there will be the deadly sleep effect, which will sleep an enemy on the opponent's team. So that is also something that is working in her favor. Also, she's quite fast and immediately produces one spirit from the get-go. Now, who will join these two in the first platoon? First off, we have another water unit, and it is Water Colin, and she's basically the ultimate disruptor, but also just overall a great unit to start with. Why is that? She exchanges an enemy unit with an imposter, basically often putting away any guards and making them open for attacks from, for example, your Water Snow White or your Earth Musha. And on the other hand, she also has that spirit loot, so whenever you defeat an enemy, you also get additional spirit. She can also help support Water Snow White with her flip sleep, and that's also another factor in her great opening power. She has that hold ground plus, so she will not be immediately defeated, instead regaining all her health with the flip sleep and producing some more spirit while doing that. As soon as she defeats one unit, she also unlocks Savage Force, which she can do quite quickly, given that she will most likely get to defeat an imposter quite quickly. And the last open position in the starting 4 goes to another hold ground plus unit, which is Freya, the new fire unit released in August. And arguably she's the unit with the highest survivability if she is in an environment with enough spirit. And that's because she can actually reset her hold ground plus and regain full health with her assassin's train. Overall, I mean, I've talked about her before, really a good unit. But what might be important too here, making her a really good unit for the starting 4, are two things. She can be a temporary guard, which is nice because if her hold ground plus is still enabled, she's basically undefeatable during that time. And on the other hand, she's a great counter to Earth Musha. So one enraged attack on her with the burn status effect, and Earth Musha is likely gone. Before we continue with the other 16 units, a quick reminder to like and subscribe for more Evertale content. It really helps me keep going. Thank you, and back to the video. With a weighted usage of 26%, a stun unit clinches the next spot. The 5th position goes to Stormrolosha, a pretty old unit at this point, but still delivering on the disruptor front. She's stunning 2 enemies for 100 time units on her entry, and then possibly getting to step back again and doing it all over. And she also has some targeted stun that she can pull off from time to time. So really a great disruptor against the enemy team. And that's what makes her still viable after all this time. Speaking of old units, the next one is probably the oldest unit that still makes it into this top meta team, and it is Light Ludmilla. A great 100% guard, the first of her kind, released I think over 3 years ago at this point. She can still literally hold her ground as the only 100% guard with a hold ground feature. While her active skills are pretty outdated at this point, I would say, she can still hold up the enemy for a while and allow your DPS to do their thing uninterrupted for a while longer. Talking about supporting your DPS, the next light unit does that very well, and it is Haku, one of the newest units in this lineup. And she has that very fast give turn and heal and produces some spirit for your DPS. So just very good, and if she gets killed without a stealth attack, then she will reappear at the bottom of your team yet again. The 8th position goes to another light unit as well, and it is Lighty released around 1 year ago. She's another hold ground plus unit that heals for 30% of her HP at every turn, and she also has a 50% chance of calling a Mori next in line that is also poison immune. Now, if she stays alive for quite a while, that Mori support can really begin to add up, and with the Vengeance Strike she can really profit from the enemy team taking those Moris out. And if not, at this point of the game there might still be some guards around and she can use Guard Cleaver as well. And to possibly keep her alive a while longer, there's Bright Ludmilla coming in next, supporting the cast with another 100% guard. Of course, if she gets the Shield of Aldine down, then she's pretty much indestructible for quite a while, I think 100 time units. Of course, she also armors up your other units, so at this point, if your stealthers are still alive, they might get stealthed, but for example, Earth Misha at that point should have already gotten access to the Survivor's Fury, and Water Snowbite also relatively quickly regains her stealth, producing another spirit, so that should be fine. You might be realizing a theme at this point. Most of these units that came after the first 4 are pretty much just there to give your first 4 units more time to do the job, or rather whichever of these units are still alive. And the next unit is no exception. It is Watergene, another sleep unit who will sleep an enemy at her entry and then possibly conjure her sister Michaela with another active sleep skill, Angelic Sleep. And if Water Snow White is still around at that point, she might very well take advantage of that. Also, the double Nightmare Hunter from Water Michaela is really nothing to joke around with. Moving on to platoon number 3, and we have Storm Ossia still around after all this time. She's kind of this stun tank for your team. She was the first unit with Hold Ground Plus, and her flip stun random is still very, very good, especially in the AI game, because she gets targeted heavily so still might take away some of the punches against your DPS, which are still alive. In position 12, we have another newer unit, which is Dark Reina. She has that Mega Poison entry and potential to duplicate herself many times if she survives that long. Of course, whenever she unlocks her deadly doppelganger skill, she gets heavily targeted, but to possibly keep her and her doppelgangers alive a bit longer, the next guard is coming in for her in the next position, and it is Earth Anya, the poison guard, with the poison skin random, which basically poisons all of the enemies when they get hit enough, except if it's with stealth attacks. She's a 100% guard and might also push off some mega poison to regain 100% of her HP. So definitely a good addition at this point, though you could argue that a few more poison units around her might be good. Problem with that is that very good poison units are a very rare find at this point. Instead, we get another Earth unit next, and it is Earth Ray. She can repeatedly call her dog to help, and with that skill also reset potentially some hold ground plus for units that are still around at this point, or reuse the entry effects of some of the units like Water Gene or Dark Reina. In position number 15, we get the fourth 100% guard. It is Bright Astrid, this fire guard, who can also punch out some extremely strong attacks. If you've seen my other videos, you have seen that she can be quite the annoyance sometimes, but she also sets fire to the whole battlefield, and you may need more really good fire units to really make use of that. But on the other hand, at this point, hopefully the enemy Water Snow White is dead, because she's possibly the best counter against Bright Astrid. Now we move on to the last arena platoon, and you might have noticed that we still have two SSS tier units which are yet to be placed, and that changes now. The next unit, number 16, is Stormalmina. Now, why is she so far in the back? This is very simply explained by Earthmusha. If you run her in the front and you encounter an Earthmusha that is enraged, Stormalmina might be having a very bad time. So the hope is at this point when she comes in that Earthmusha from the enemy team is already dead, and on the other hand that also the enemy guards are mostly already dead, which helps her single strike skill set, which is obviously extremely strong, and hopefully she will be ignored like we are used to from her. The next is Dark Gene, and similar to the explanation for Stormalmina, obviously she is a survivor's unit, so she's profiting from being alive for a while and then getting all these survivor furies off, but with the advent of Earthmusha, it's just not the same anymore. And also she needs a while to get going, and arena battles, especially in the start, are often more fast-paced at this point. So before she unlocks Survivor's Fury, there's very little she does except poisoning randomly, and that might override some of the status effects on the enemy team that you would rather keep. Now we have only 3 more spots left in this arena team. Who will it be? We still have a lot of top units and new units to come in. Maybe the new units are a bit too early for the data to really qualify in these top platoons, but I see a lot of potential in a lot of them. We have Sun Wukong, Dark Alice, Fire Elmina and Tiamat. If you wanna know more about them, check out my other videos. In the meantime, the next spot is reserved for Storm Antares. That stun all skin is still something to be reckoned with, because even the stealth attackers sometimes just don't attack her with stealth and instead get stunned into oblivion. Especially with the Thunder Heart, she can survive for quite a while and buy you some important time, especially in combination with Dark Sheen that came on the battlefield just before her. She could use the time to unlock her Survivor's Fury, just as Storm Antares, who also has the double Survivor's Fury and can hit pretty hard, especially against water units, of course. Only 2 spots left, and we have next up a light unit, and it is the best supporting unit from 2021, Light Mirai. With her rejuvenating song, she can make sure that some of your hold ground units just live a bit longer and also produce the spirit they need for their attacks. Once her song runs out, she's still quite good at giving turns or pain healing your units, but similar to some of the other units we see in Platoon 4, putting her too early puts her at a great risk to be killed by stealth units who ignore her passive stun Revenge. And the very last unit, number 20, has an incredible weighted usage for the 20th position of 50%, and she also profits a lot from the 2 units coming in before her. It is Mitsuchi. Now, what makes her such a great finisher? She doesn't like guards, so if it comes down to her, then hopefully at least the enemy guards are already taken care of, and she can use her time drain plus being covered by enough spirit and possibly some stuns from Storm Antares. And even if that isn't the case, there's still the Survivor Slayer, so the enemy units that managed to fly under the radar so far are really likely to get targeted by Mitsuchi. And maybe that is someone like Light Mirai, who has the stun Revenge, but with her counter skin, Mitsuchi quickly will get another turn if she's not taken care of with Poison Burn or stealth attacks. Now, this is the current meta team in Arena, or more specifically in the Japanese top arena that is mainly for very advanced servers which already had a chance to get basically every unit there is. To reiterate, we have Earth Musha, Water Snow White, Water Colin and Freya opening up for you, and then the disruptors and supporters and guards coming in with Storm Rolosha, Light Ludmilla, Haku, Light Hibiki, Bright Ludmilla, Water Sheen, Storm Ossia, Dark Raina, Earth Anya, Earth Ray and Bright Astrid. And then we have an extremely strong finishing Plat 4 with Storm Elmina, Dark Sheen, Storm Antares, Light Mirai, and last but not least, Mitsuchi. I hope you enjoyed this video and can utilize some of the ideas. Looking forward to reading your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks again to Nizetto for providing this really helpful data. Stay tuned for future changes and subscribe to become a true carrot. As always, thanks for watching.